Hey folks, welcome back to another Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Forge, which is brought to you by Hammerdog Games. It's for 1 to 4 players, ages 14 and up, and games generally run about 90 to 120 minutes. The forging process was first developed thousands of years ago, around 4000 to 7000 BC, in the Middle East, and quickly spread through Europe and Asia. By discovering fire, humankind soon learned that certain metals such as gold, silver, and copper could be heated at high temperatures and formed into various shapes. You will take on the role of a blacksmith, a forger of iron and other metals, seeking to earn a strong reputation in a growing kingdom in medieval Europe. You begin the game with a basic blacksmith shop, full of all the tools you need to forge simple items. Send forth your assistants and your blacksmith, both in and out of the city, to acquire the resources you need to develop your forge and fulfill your contracts. So, through various methods, you will gain victory points. The game ends when one player has accomplished 5 different achievements. The current round will be completed and then final scoring will take place. The player with the most victory points wins the game. So this is a worker placement game, and you'll be sending your workers out, your assistants, and your blacksmith in order to do various things out on the main board. You know, picking up different resources, fulfilling contracts, swapping different types of metals, all kinds of different things are available to you on this board. But first, let's take a look at your player board. Now, this is your forge, and around the edge of the board, you'll see a series of tokens that you'll use to upgrade your forge. You'll pay the cost next to the token and move it into place, showing that you have that new ability, like the hammer, giving you the ability to forge weapons and armor for 1 less metal. And you have tongs and other types of items that are required to fulfill some of the contracts. So you'll need to be managing the fact that you have to upgrade your forge, get the resources you need, get the contracts, and fulfill them through the course of the game. And there are 3 different types of contracts. You've got the browns, which are your common contracts. You've got grays, which are military, and purple, which are royal. And they're all going to require different types of needs. You're going to have a certain skill level, which we'll talk about skills. You have to have the right type of resources in order to forge this. And then when you actually go to forge, you have to take your blacksmith and move it to the middle of your board to complete these contracts, moving them to the side of your player board and collecting the victory points and so forth. So those are the key things that you're going to be doing. But there's lots of upgrades, lots of things you do along the way. So those skills that we talked about, you have to upgrade your skills in order to complete a lot of these cards. So on your main player board, if you upgrade your forge or you do the grindstone, you'll get star upgrades from that. And when you eventually get your 4th assistant, you'll get an upgrade there. But there are also various cards giving you star upgrades as well. So you hope to move along that track and just have the right number of skills to complete the contracts that you need to. So you have 2 different types of workers. You have your assistants and your main blacksmith. You start with 2 assistants and you will gain more. In round 2, you get a 3rd assistant, and in round 3, you get a 4th assistant. And when you get that 4th assistant, you get a new skill upgrade on that star track. So it is crucial to get those, obviously saving up contracts in order to fulfill them when you finally get that 4th assistant, or maybe you've upgraded your stars enough. So it is this, again, this balancing act as you move forward and try to do various things. And you have a series of hammers. These hammers are used to dictate player order, but more importantly, you're going to use them to mark off the different achievements through the course of the game. Again, this game in Trigger, you need 5 of those for the game to come to an end. And there's various things here, and you need to be mindful as you're playing the game and don't miss out to get those victory points. So maybe you've upgraded the equipment in your forge. Those are ways to get these, as well as the skill level and so forth. But there's lots of different things here you need to be mindful of. There's even some set collection in this game. Getting the different types of contracts, you'll see those achievements on your board, and guilds. We'll talk more about guilds when we get to that card off the main board, but in general, you have an icon in the top left corner of your various different cards, and there are 7 of these guilds. So you get a full set, you're going to get a ton of extra points at the end of the game, and that's only scored at the end. You put together different sets and you get points for a set of 2, 3, however many you have in a particular set, you're going to get points. So it is advantageous to put together different types of cards. It definitely encourages you as the players to do various things and pick up the various cards as you upgrade your workers, you upgrade your forge, you do different contracts and so forth. And finally, let's take a look at the main board. We have various slots here, obviously, to do all the things you need to do. The top row, though, is all about resources. You're going to be getting wood, metal, or gems. And there's various slots here. As you place an assistant in the slot, you'll get that number or that quantity in that resource. But there's also a slot for your blacksmith. If you place a blacksmith there, you get a +1 to whatever available slot is still open. below. So those are the main resources. Again, you're going to be using them and getting them quite frequently. Then we have the trading post in this second row. This is where you can buy and sell resources, and this is the only place you can get the brick resource. So you get to do 2 trade actions here, but you might be low on cash, so you got to sell some of the things that you need to. And now you can put as many assistants here as you want. There's no limit to how many times you can go to this spot or how many players can use it. And then we have the plaza, and that's all about getting your blacksmith back. Maybe you played your blacksmith at the top row to get a resource, but now you can put an assistant here and pay 2 coin in order to pull that blacksmith back and put him anywhere else. Then you have the guild. Now we talked about guilds a little bit, you have the set collection, but there's an actual guild card with a symbol, a guild symbol in the middle. But at the top you get bonuses. So usually it's resources that you're going to get immediately. The third row is all about getting the different types of contracts. Now there's only 1 assistant spot and 1 blacksmith spot. Blacksmith gets a +1 on the draw, and also if you happen to have developed on your forge the vice, you'll get to draw additional cards as well. But the assistant can only ever keep 1 card. Now the 4th row has development, equipment, and training. Based on where you place your workers will determine if you're drawing from the discard pile or the main deck. And that's really what the different symbols mean and so forth. Obviously, the blacksmith has a choice of either, and there is 1 worker spot for an assistant that will have a choice of either as well. Now, the thing here with development is that these are bonus cards. You add them to your player board, your forge, giving you maybe discounts on different types of materials that you need for contracts and so forth. Equipment is like what we talked at the beginning. You're gonna have to have pay the cost, I should say, to upgrade your forge, but you have to use a worker here in order to do it. And then we have training. Training is for your assistants. You get different types of cards you get to place next to your worker that gives you also bonuses through the course of the game that can really aid and give you big benefits as you put them in place and activate those abilities. And that's really the basics of what you're doing in the game. And in the end, you hope to be the forge that has the most victory points. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview, and everything you've seen here has been in prototype form, so keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, with that said, the fact that you get to upgrade your forge and have new equipment added to it, new development cards, upgrade your workers, that's what I found to be the most interesting here. Now, it is your worker placement you're putting out there, but there's some fun set collection not to be forgotten, because that will give you lots of points at the end of the game. So folks, ultimately, if this looks like something of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it from me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.